Hello, BJ Queens here, and welcome to my channel where we explore all things Miss Universe, Miss USA, and other national universe pageants. Today, we are continuing our series of the Miss USA 2023 delegates bio and Instagram review. Now, keep in mind, I am not reviewing every single delegate. There's just so many delegates, I really can't review them all. I'm only reviewing the ones that have caught my attention. And it's a 4-part series, so if there's a specific delegate or a few specific delegates you really wanted to see, I have put in the description box a list of the delegates that are covered along with the timestamps and video that they are covered in. So you can just skip right ahead to the specific girls you wanted to see. If the series is a little too much for you, that's totally fine. But I do recommend watching each of the videos in the 4-part series if you're able to, because it just adds context. You know, there's a lot of girls that are not hyped up as much but have major potential to place in a top 5 or get that crown. Also, I think it makes the experience of watching the pageant a lot more fun and interesting when you know more of the delegates and when you understand the full scope of the competition. First up, we have Miss Illinois, Samantha Elliott. Samantha Elliott grew up in a small Illinois town on a goat and horse farm. She spent most of her summers traveling to goat shows and has been riding horses since she was just 3 days old. Wow, that's young. At the age of 8, she rescued her beloved horse, Rosabelle, from the kill pen. Currently, Samantha is pursuing a Master's of Accounting and is testing for her CPA. She's one of only 100 graduate school fellowship recipients from the University of Alabama. After school, she will begin working for a Big 4 accounting firm as a federal auditor auditing the U.S. Army and eventually becoming an FBI forensic accountant. That sounds impressive. Samantha advocates for financial literacy because it's not taught in schools but impacts everyone. She has partnered with various schools, colleges, and nonprofits like RAMP to bring financial literacy workshops and resources to people of all backgrounds. I always find it really interesting, all the different backgrounds that these women come from, and accounting is a very important role. Just a little history into her journey in pageantry. She was Miss Illinois Teen 3 times, first runner-up, and she had 2 attempts at Miss Illinois and made it on her 2nd attempt. So what do you guys think of Miss Illinois? I will say she really captured my attention with her beauty. I think she's stunningly beautiful. She has that statuesque figure that really looks nicely on stage. But I will say for me, I'm waiting for more of a fire or a hunger to come out of her. She definitely has a very classic regal look in a lot of her pictures, which I love, but I want to see a little more of a hunger for the crown that I'm not quite seeing yet. So right now I just have her as someone on my radar. Next up is Miss Iowa Grace Keller. Miss Iowa USA Grace Lynn Keller is a graduate of the University of Iowa with degrees in journalism and mass communication and a certificate in writing. As vice president of a digital marketing and podcast production company, Grace enjoys using her unique skill set to help clients worldwide find their voice, tell their stories, and develop their brand. Grace is also passionate about her platform Read to Succeed, which focuses on providing literacy programming to rural and low-income schools in Iowa, as well as providing students access to literacy materials outside the classroom. She has traveled over 30,000 miles across the state to date in this effort. In her free time, Grace enjoys reading fiction novels, experimenting in the kitchen with new recipes, and sharing her love of ballet and art, which she spent 16 years training while growing up. Miss Iowa also competed as Miss Iowa in Miss America 2022. She did not make a placement at that time, but she did compete for Miss Iowa Universe, and she was crowned on her first attempt. So what do you guys think of Miss Iowa? I will admit she is a bit under the radar right now when it comes to favorites, similar to Colorado and some of the other states I included here. But I think that might be because she does look more girl next door, Miss America vibe. She did just compete in Miss America in 2022, so I'm sure that's a lot of why we get that Miss America vibe from her Instagram. But you definitely see her in some really beautiful photos. She definitely is going for a very regal, classic feel, which I love. But you still are missing an X Factor, it girl, Miss Universe thing that we always look for. I think that might be why she's going under people's radar. But I still want to keep my eye on this girl. She is showing herself to be very intelligent. She is an excellent speaker. And so I think she is gonna nail interview. But even though she is coming across a bit on the Miss America pageant patty side, I do feel like she might just surprise us come preliminaries, because I also thought that of Miss Minnesota when I checked out her Instagram from last year. And then she came out and just slayed at preliminaries. So I just have a good feeling about her. I could be wrong. She might come out and be too pageant patty, too girl next door, Miss America vibe. But I just have a good feeling about her, that she is very intentional with what she does. So let's just wait and see. Next up, we have Miss Kentucky, Madeline Kinnett. According to Madeline, Kentucky has always been home. It is where I was pushed into adulthood at the age of 13 to help raise my siblings after my mother passed from a fentanyl overdose. I struggled with PTSD, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts, but regained my health, happiness, and hope through therapy and my family's support. There were many times I wished for resources and a leader to step in and help me. This is why I am committed to filling that gap by working as a mentor and spokesperson for organizations and philanthropies around Kentucky. I am proud to have written a new story for my life and am grateful to be living my dream of representing this great state and working as a full-time model for companies around the country. Now I am humbled to ask for the opportunity to do so as the next Miss USA. I will say I knew that her mother had passed away. She made a statement about that when she won Miss Kentucky, but I did not know that she passed away when she was 13 of a fentanyl overdose, and that she had young siblings she had to take care of. That is honestly so heart-wrenching, such a huge challenge for a young person to go through. And to see that she overcame that challenge and that she wants to help the youth overcome similar challenges and be a leader for others, that is just so inspiring. Kinnett previously competed in 3 separate Miss Kentucky Teen USA competitions, placing in the top 5 each year. She placed 3rd runner-up in 2020, 2nd runner-up in 2019, and 4th runner-up in 2018. What do you guys think of Miss Kentucky? I have had her on my radar for quite a while, and I think I may have underestimated this girl. The more that I look into her, the more that I like her and I see her as someone to watch. She is just very consistent. She has some really incredible photos. I really like her in the gold. She has a lot of photos like that, and she just looks so stunning. And she also has a very distinct face that is very memorable, very easy to identify in a crowd. And that's important. I think she will really stand out on stage. She has a good walk. I think for me, why she may have gone under my radar a little bit is because the walk doesn't really wow like some of the other girls, but it is still a very consistent, very solid performance. I would like to see more from her on stage, but she's pretty consistent, and consistency is what it's all about. Also, she has something of an it girl energy. I honestly kind of see her as the girl in school that the guys all want to date, and they get so nervous to talk to her, and they're like, could you talk to her for me? I just see that kind of vibe from her, that kind of it girl thing. I don't know if it's quite the most Miss Universe among the delegates that are out there. I think she's a pretty strong delegate, and for now I see her as at least a solid top 16. Next up is Miss Maine, Juliana Morehouse. Juliana is pursuing her Master's of Arts in Theological Studies at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. She is an alumna of the College of Charleston, where she earned a BA in Communication with a minor in English. During her time at the College of Charleston, she was a Dean's List student and a President's List student. She was inducted into a National Communication Honor Society, Lambda Pi Eta National Communication Association. Juliana is no stranger to leadership. In high school, she served as the fundraising chair and student body president. In college, she served as a vice president on the executive council of her chapter of Kappa Delta sorority. In pursuit of learning self-defense skills, she earned her black belt in Taekwondo. Wow, that's cool. Juliana is passionate about raising awareness about Alzheimer's disease because her family has been personally impacted by it. She serves as a community educator for the Alzheimer's Association by traveling around the state delivering presentations on what the disease is and how to prevent it. During her year, Juliana plans to work with the Alzheimer's Association on an even larger scale. Alzheimer's disease is the 6th leading cause of death in America, and she wants to play a role in finding the cure. In addition, she wants to use what she is learning in her graduate program to speak to women across the state about what it means to live an impactful, fulfilled life. And I'm sure you noticed that she was recently married. A lot of her pictures are in her wedding dress, which is really cool that they just recently opened up the Miss USA and Miss Universe competitions to married women and women with children. That was actually last year, and there's a lot of buzz about the most recent change to include women of all ages. I'm not going to get into that, but I wonder if she is the first married USA delegate. I know there are some married women that have already been coronated for the Universe competition, but I do wonder if she is the first one from USA, which would be pretty cool. I did hear her in an interview talk about how this is a very exciting year for her because her two biggest dreams were to be married and to compete at Miss USA. So very happy for her. Also, she made 5 attempts at getting the Miss Maine title, and she finally won after her 5th attempt. And some of those earlier attempts were actually tries at both North and South Carolina, so she wasn't in Maine the whole time. She competed at North Carolina, South Carolina, I don't remember how many times, and then she finally won Miss Maine. So what do you guys think of Miss Maine? I will say, going over her Instagram, she does have a lot of footage of her wedding, which any girl would have on their Instagram. For me, the styling is something that needs to be worked on. I feel like it's a bit of a hit or miss. She also has more of a familiar kind of beauty, a very all-American girl kind of beauty, and I do tend to gravitate more towards the more exotic beauties. But what I like about Miss Maine is she just seems very intelligent. She seems like she'll really hit that interview out of the park, and she does have a good walk. I really like the strong eye contact that she gives during her state performance, and she just seems like she just has a genuineness about her that's really refreshing. She has something behind her eyes, just some good quality where you could just tell she's just a very good, sweet person and just really believes in her advocacy. And I'm not saying the other women don't, but there's just something very genuine about her that comes out on stage, where it's not just a performance. She really is living in that moment and pouring out herself, and she does also seem like she just has a lot to bring to the table. So right now, Miss Maine she's been in my top 16 at various times, but right now I have her as someone on my radar. Next up is Miss Maryland Savannah Moshinge. As a first-generation Zambian American, Savannah is the first state title holder of Zambian descent. During her reign, she will advocate for children suffering from critical illnesses and families in disadvantaged communities. Growing up on 2 different continents with 2 very unique cultures, Savannah struggled with bullying and depression before she was able to find her voice. She no longer allows labels to limit her from entering spaces or from realizing her dream to inspire and speak for the voiceless. As a student at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte, Savannah was the first female president of the Real Estate Club. She hosted and spoke at events, significantly grew club engagement with students, and inspired more women to enter the male-dominated industry. She used this as an opportunity to build her confidence and public speaking capabilities. Upon graduation, she landed her first job as a brokerage coordinator at JLL, serving Fortune 500 companies such as Bank of America, Truist, and USAA. Savannah is currently a commercial real estate broker at JLL in Washington, D.C. Savannah volunteers at the local food bank, serving the men's and women's homeless shelter by providing kits of love. She is also an ambassador for Icing Smiles, helping provide custom celebration cakes and other treats to families impacted by the critical illness of a child. She understands that simple things like a birthday cake are luxuries to a family battling illness. Through volunteer bakers, the goal is to create a custom cake for the ill child or their sibling that provides a temporary escape from the worry and creates a positive memory during a difficult time. She hopes to use her title to share love and kindness with children and inspire them to fight for their place in this world. Savannah's parents instilled the importance of providing help and resources to those in need. This inspired her to co-found a nonprofit organization, Daughters Pride Foundation, which focuses on educating young girls in Africa. The foundation fights poverty from its roots by educating the children and empowering the women in disadvantaged communities. An uneducated young woman living in poverty is more likely to be a victim of child sexual abuse, forced into early marriage, and more likely to contract HIV/AIDS, with almost zero chance of escaping the long chain of poverty. Her foundation has had the privilege to visit several girls and women living in rural and very remote areas. They continue to empower them through providing education materials, sanitary supplies, computer labs, and basic living necessities. Most importantly, they have donated life-saving equipment to labor wards. Savannah is a travel enthusiast. She has visited over 15 countries, including Paris, Poland, and the Dominican Republic. She enjoys hiking, water sports, and trying new cuisines and restaurants. Savannah believes all women are superheroes and can change the world through action, service, and a heart for others. As Miss Maryland USA 2023, she plans to use her voice to not only lift others up, but remind children and women to harness their abilities to positively change the world. She believes empowering a woman is empowering a nation. Well, that might be the best of the resumes I've read so far. My goodness, what an accomplished woman. Savannah also was Miss Supranational Zambia 2022, which is pretty amazing. She was representing Zambia at Supranational last year. She didn't place, and she did win Miss Maryland on her first attempt. So what do you guys think of Miss Maryland? I will say I am extremely impressed by her incredible resume. There's just a long list of incredible achievements that she's made, that she's working towards, that she's already doing in her community. I mean, just so impressive. Also, her beauty and her styling has really been amplified over the last few weeks. She is definitely coming full throttle for that crown. I mean, just very Miss Universe look, very expensive, and she definitely did catch my attention early on already because she has such a beautiful face. I love her full lips, and she just has a very striking, beautiful, almost, celebrity-like face. And she was another one I was pretty surprised to see that she was not included in some of the favorites lists that were out there. But after reviewing her walk in Miss Zambia, Supranational, and other clips that I've seen out there, I did not think she was very strong in that area. So that is an area I hope and believe she probably has put a lot of work into, especially if she is putting that much into her image online. I would hope that she is putting a lot of work into her walk, because I really want to see an amazing walk that matches that Miss Universe imagery that I'm seeing on her page. And the overall potential with her resume and everything, she looks very personable. She looks like she strikes a good balance between being Miss Universe, it girl, and being approachable. I just see so much in her. I really want her to do well in swim and gown. I really want to see her do well. And I have a lot of faith that she is going to turn up. So I can't wait to see her. Next up, we have Miss Nebraska, Mimi Wood. Mimi grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and spent most of her childhood training and competing in dance. She started dancing at 3 years old and won her first national solo championship at age 10. Mimi went on to win nationals with her solo 2 more times throughout her dance career at ages 13 and 16. During her high school years, she also was a member of the Millard North dance team and claimed second in the nation with her teammates, along with 4 consecutive years of state championships with both their pom and jazz routines. Mimi originally planned to dance professionally as she was selected for representation of 2 of the top dance agencies in Los Angeles. However, she felt her heart was pulled to stay in Nebraska for school. After graduating high school, Mimi attended the University of Nebraska, where she studied elementary education and danced as a Husker Scarlet. During her first year on the Husker Scarlets dance team, she shared the sidelines with her 2 older sisters, a first for Nebraska history. Throughout her 4 years on the team, she served as a head of the Technique and Skills Committee, head of the Choreography Committee, captain, and was the first Husker Scarlet to be named First Team All Big Ten. In 2021, Mimi graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Education and Human Sciences. Mimi's ultimate goal is to make a difference in children's lives, as her dance coach did for her as a young girl. In strides towards that goal, Mimi founded her nonprofit, Project Believe and Achieve, that helps children to unlock their potential through confidence building. In fall of 2022, Mimi became an advisory board member for the YMCA and is using her position to advocate for Nebraska's youth. Today, Mimi is continuing to expand her nonprofit and aims to implement her program, Dance and Develop, in YMCAs throughout Nebraska and neighboring states. Mimi is sharing her passion for dance as a therapeutic outlet that benefits children mentally and physically. Mimi works in business development and sales at a technology startup and is entering her 4th season as a competitive dance coach in Omaha. Mimi competed in her first pageant on the Miss Nebraska USA stage in 2020, where she placed 3rd runner-up and won the swimsuit award. She returned in 2021 to place 1st runner-up and overall in gown, and was 2nd runner-up and overall in gown in 2022 before being crowned the following year. Her perseverance paid off in 2023 when she was crowned Miss Nebraska USA and won the overall swimsuit award. Throughout her reign, Mimi hopes to help children to recognize that they can accomplish any goal they set their minds to, and to advocate for adults to invest in younger generations through providing the necessary support and resources needed for their success. She finally won after 4 attempts, all of prior attempts placing as a runner-up. So what do you guys think of Miss Nebraska? I will say I noticed her pretty early on. She stood out to me. She just looks like a Barbie doll. All of her videos, all of her pictures, she's just giving. This is a girl that looks hungry for the crown. I was actually really surprised not to see her in some of the favorites lists out there, particularly with the Sang channel. I usually agree with a lot of what the Sang channel says, but I was really surprised that she wasn't in there, as well as a few other girls. But I think the one thing maybe why she's not getting as much attention online is because she does have a very similar look to a lot of the other girls competing this year, but I just think she is such a standout. She's a dancer. She looks good on stage. She looks good in picture and in video. I'm really surprised she isn't talked about more. One of the girls that comes to mind that she is very similar to is Miss Wisconsin. They both kind of have that Barbie look, so that might be the challenge to her, but I think video and picture wise, she's a lot stronger than Wisconsin. Wisconsin, her walk is a little more fluid, and I think Nebraska, she swings her hips a lot. And I don't know if that's something she's learned in dance. I would imagine so. But I think for me, I do prefer the more fluid walks to walks that swing their hips a little bit more. I notice Texas tends to do that a lot too. But she is also really physically fit. Some of those photos really show her physical fitness. I think she's going to do really well in swim. And I think I need this girl in my top 16. I had her in my girls to look for. She's honestly jumped across so many spectrums of my list. I really don't know where to put her. I mean, she could be all the way to top 10 for me right now, but I am not sure what to do. There's so many good girls. I really want to find a way to have her in my top 16 because she is phenomenal.
Go left to the lake, then pull over on the right. So come take a bite in the middle of the night. My neck